So you're thinking about adding that board gaming title to your collection. If it's like me, it's going to be another dungeon crawler because you can never have too many dungeon crawlers. But the natural question, of course, is replayability. Not only how many plays am I going to get out of this game, but out of those plays, is there enough difference? Is there going to be options? Are there going to be new opportunities to solve problems? What's kind of that checklist to help evaluate, to help ask those questions that we can explore? And I feel like this is vital, especially with Kickstarters, because Kickstarters, they tend to have a lot of unlocks. They tend to throw a lot of bonus material at you. They tend to have a lot of stuff. We see Kickstarters getting bigger and bigger and bigger, overloading you with stuff. And you can never have too much stuff, especially if you're a completionist like me. But is it really answering that question? Is it really this idea of replayability versus an illusion of replayability? So the things that I look at for replayability, first is the story. Is there one story? Is there multiple stories? And by stories, this could be scenarios. This could be paths to adventure. Can I try out 5, 6, 8 missions, with each mission being a little bit different? Examples would be, let's look at Runebound 3rd Edition, just the core set, a favorite RPG-type fantasy game of mine. There's 2 primary missions. 2 primary adventures in the core box. One where you're trying to stop a dragon lord, Margrath, from resurrecting, and 2 where you're taking on an undead necromancer, Vorakash, who's trying to raise undead. So kind of dealing with hordes, magic, and necromancy, or fighting a dragon. And I love to fight dragons. So you have 2 primary missions. 2 missions to play. Let's look at Zombicide Invader, because I love Invader. You've got about a dozen core missions, and the mission variety is such that kill everything and escape, find certain artifacts, find prototype weapons, seal off parts of the complex, rescue scientists. A lot of good variety that you can play and explore. So that's kind of the starting point. If there's one mission in the box, then hopefully it's a long play to that mission. I want to see at least 2 or 3. Yes, I'd like 10, 15, 20, or 30, but 2 or 3 onward, that's kind of the first level. The second level on the opposite side, characters, players, factions. How many are there? The more unique characters and unique factions and unique players, well, now, even once you've solved the missions, so you got to make it through all the missions. Once you've solved the missions, now you can replay them with multiple characters, multiple strategies. So if we're looking at Runebound, again, you have characters that utilize magic, characters that utilize brawn and fighting, characters that utilize a mix of both, maybe a little bit of stealth. When we look at Zombicide Invader, we've got characters that are fighters, soldiers. We've got characters that are scientists. We have characters that are good at shooting, characters that are good at close combat. So even when you play the mission, let's take a new set of characters. Let's take a new group in. So that bumps things out immediately. Those are kind of the bookends. What I want to see in the middle, of the checklist is random generation. Random generation, meaning multiple possibilities to fulfill the mission. And I picked Runebound 3rd Edition, and I picked Zombicide Invader because this core mechanic, they both do an excellent job of illustrating it. Zombicide Invader, the Xenos, the aliens, they're going to spawn. You flip over a card for spawn points. Now, the spawn points are determined. They're static for every mission. You're going to lay out the spawn points. But the deck of cards, how many aliens spawn, what types, is it an abomination, what do they do? You spawn those randomly from a huge deck of cards at every point. So literally every turn, it's different spawns. Every mission, it's different spawns. Chain of events, different. You need to adapt in the moment. So I've got different missions, different characters, and different spawns every time. Runebound 3rd Edition, as you explore the map, they have these adventure points. Some involve fights, some involve quests, and some involve a social interaction. They pull from a deck of cards. So if I go to a fight scenario, I've got maybe 30 fight scenarios to pick from. It's going to be different every time. There's going to be different challenges. Even though the spawn point is the same on the map, because it represents a historic part of Terranoff. Maybe some dragon caves or the Dragon's Teeth Mountains. What exactly you're going to find there, you don't know. So again, this diversity of, I decide in the beginning, am I going to take on Margrath or am I going to try and stop Vorakesh? Okay. Then I'm going to pick my characters. Whether I'm playing 1, 2, 3, or 4, I'm going to pick my characters. And then from there, the actual path in terms of gear, equipment, encounters, scenario, where I'm going to go, that changes. If a title has those 3 factors at a minimum in the checklist, then in my opinion, replayability is massive. And I want to look to try and capture those as much as possible in the core experience. And naturally from there, we'll build out on expansions. Some have a lot of expansions, some have little expansions. But I'd like the initial value to be there in the core. I don't really want to get too deep into a board game where the core is crippled and I got to have all these expansions in play, cough, cough, Dark Souls. And I love Dark Souls. I do. But and that's no mistake, because I've pushed out a number of vlogs loving the game, and I play it all the time. But it's evident that the core box, what they did was strip it down, make it crippleware, so you almost have to buy the character pack, the expansion packs, the explorers pack, the mega bosses. I mean, they really stripped out a lot. I just like to have that all up front for the replayability, and then pile on some expansions, but don't have it, essentially DLC to play. That core, that's the checklist. That is ideally what I want to play. And I'm not hating on Dark Souls. I've got it on the table up right now, and I'm actually making my way through it. And I'm about 10 hours in, so I'm invested in that. And I've played it about half a dozen times in the past couple of months. So I'm having a blast playing it. I just wish the acquisition model was a little bit different than how it was presented.